Hello, welcome back to Bunniichii Corner. We are still continuing to search for the next audition to Bunniichii. Who is the next person looking to audition and fill the space that Julie used to sit in? Person next to me, what is your name?
Hello, everyone. I am Summer Rain. You can find me everywhere online at Weebwitched. It's like Bewitched, but I'm a weeb. And I love bunnies. So who better to be the next person on the podcast called Bunniichii than someone who is notoriously known for cosplaying bunnies. Slutty ones, I might add.
You're selling yourself too hard. I don't think you're right fit.
Ooh. You told me this was an audition, so I came to slay.
Iconic.
Is that not what you wanted from me? I'm sorry. We can start over.
Anyway, so since you're already here, I might as well steal more of your time and monetize it.
You're monetized? Congratulations.
We will never sell out to the man. I'm just letting you know, in the future, we might be.
Not to the man, but to the mommy.
To the mommy?
Maybe.
Mommy, yes.
Mommy?
Sorry.
So mommy? Sorry.
All right. Summer Rain, a.k.a. Weebwitched. My friend, this does not mean that you have any upper leverage in regards to everyone else who is also auditioning. Today's topic.
I understand.
Today's topic. How would you feel talking about gender and performance?
I'd love to. That's what I came here for.
Wonderful. Okay. So let's start with your experience. Do you perform? Do you do anything in regards to the performing arts? There we go. That's a better question.
The question, do I perform?
Yes.
What do you think I'm doing right now, Maggie?
You are performing. Excuse you, it's Magpie. I don't know who this Maggie is.
Apologies. Sorry. I mistook you for your best friend, Maggie. This is Magpie we're talking to.
No,
yes.
I don't have best friends anymore. They're all dead. Anyways, keep going.
So, hi. I have been performing for as long as I can remember. When I was old enough to walk, my parents put me in a lot of different theater and acting classes and camps, clubs, performances. I did a lot of theater growing up. When I was going through school, I auditioned for every possible show that I could, both in school and in community theater projects. And when I went to college, I originally majored in vocal performance. I was in a track where I was on track to be a performer for the Lyric Opera in Chicago. That was like the funnel program that I was in. More information than I'm willing to talk about now because it's not meaningful for this podcast.
Essentially, you are the epitome of the theater kid.
Yes, I did change my major, and I did. I didn't end up graduating with a performing degree. And looking back, I'm really grateful for that because I appreciate having, first of all, health insurance without having to
health insurance
fight
is
tooth
good.
and nail to be in a right.
Yeah.
Without also having I'm not having to fight and debate and sell my soul for do I be in a union or not? That kind of stuff. I get to do all of my performing on the side. And that's something that I really started to figure out when I was in grad school. I had started to dabble. I'm going to bring up cosplay because
I was actually about to just bring that up. Because we learned about each other through similar circles. Julie had met you previously and was interacting with you online. And then I think the first time I met you, was that at St. Japan or was it at Acon?
So the first time that I met you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you met me because I was sitting,
this was a Tokyo Mew Mew.
It was St. Japan, I believe 2020, either 2021 or 2022.
Everything before Tokyo Mew Mew did not exist.
I was sitting down. I was having a meal in the main hotel restaurant, and I saw you and Julie walk by in your Tokyo Mew Mew cosplays, and I was just literally, I was so taken with them that I had to get up from my meal and get a photo of you and tell you how much that I loved your cosplays, because from far away I could tell, like, I'll geek out for a moment. I could tell how much work had gone into them. It's a franchise that I have, also have attachment to. You were also folks that like I really hadn't seen, at least as far as I could tell. Like, so there's like a couple of factors that go into like when you like decide to approach somebody. I think at a convention, especially when you're not just like the nerd that's taking photos of like literally every good cosplay that you see, right? Because I've been going to conventions for over 10 years. Like, I know I'm going to see photos of the winners online later on. Like, I'm not that kind of person. It's more like there's certain factors that I'm like, oh wow, like that struck me. And so y'all's Tokyo Mew Mew cosplays, for me, from far away, I was like, oh, I don't actually think I know those people, and they're cosplays are not purchased
before we were on the map.
Right? I was like, oh wow, like I want to make sure I go tell them that I really like their cosplays. So that was the first time that I met you. I don't think I was in cosplay at this point.
No, you were not, because I remember Julie talking to me about this a while back, and I was just like, she was like, yeah, Summer apparently took photos of us when we were in Tokyo Mew Mew, and it was this. She explained the whole scenario, and I was like, I remember that. That was Summer.
You were literally walking through, like, right? You were passing through. It's that passageway, like from the main lobby through the restaurant out to that other exit that leads to the convention center.
I know the exact thing that happened, and I remember it. And that's the crazy part to me. And I'm just like, wow, look.
Good old Henry B. Gonzalez.
The one and only Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center.
Yeah. So, yes. So all of that to say, so I started cosplaying, at this point, let me looks at the year, a little over 10 years ago.
Hello, fellow elder.
Yes. Well, it's funny because for my age, I feel like I actually did kind of start a little later. A lot of people my age have been cosplaying a lot longer than that. But I started cosplaying when I was in college. I didn't really get into it until I was in grad school. A lot of that was because I was making more money as a grad student than I was in undergrad. So I had more money to spend on said hobby.
Because it's expensive.
Yes, it is. And I started to realize that a lot of what I liked about cosplay was that I was being characters without having to audition. I had that theater background. And I started to, this was still the heyday of character panels at conventions. Ooh. So I was in grad school when I auditioned for an Undertale panel at A-Kon.
Okay.
Back when that was a big deal, right? So I think I got extremely lucky because it was a panel that was being put on by somebody who did have a lot of acting experience, and the other showrunners, so to speak, like the panel leaders, they were other people who they had a lot of improv background and a lot of other paneling experience. So it really was like catching the very tail end of the we're not doing character Q&A panels anymore. And it wasn't a character Q&A. It was like a whose line is it anyway style.
Yeah,
like
a very different
prompts and yes, and it was Undertale. So the character that I was always cosplaying from Undertale was Mettaton.
I see it. This all makes sense.
Yes, it's all like this is where it's going to spiral into our topic.
Oh, perfect.
It all comes from Mettaton. So Undertale Vanilla, right? The original game by Toby Fox came out. It came out in 2015, I believe. It was like September or October.
I believe. What was
fall.
It? Yeah, it might have been October because I remember watching some gameplays of it when it first came out.
Yeah. And yes, it was super popular for a lot of like the popular YouTubers and Twitch streamers. If you're into that kind of thing, you probably saw Game Grumps playing through it, that kind of stuff. All the popular YouTubers were playing it and uploading their videos. And I remember I was in the middle of the semester, so I didn't have a lot of time to play it.
Yeah.
My sister was always like sending me photos of Mettaton and was like, you've got to play this game. You're gonna you are Mettaton. You are Mettaton. And this was before I really started to dabble in any kind of divergent gender expression as well. Right.
Okay.
At this point, I thought, at this part, I really just thought I am a woman. I use she, her pronouns. I like men. A lot of those things were honestly gray before that point.
Yeah.
But that's for my biography at a later date. And I would always reply to these messages and say, yes, I know, I'm gonna play it. I swear I'm gonna play it. It was, the hot thing.
Right.
The semester ends. I go home for the holidays. My sister also goes home for the holidays. She's like, you're playing Undertale. She's like, I'm hooking up my PC. She's like, I'm hooking up my PC to mom and dad's TV, and we're just gonna play Undertale together, on the TV in the living room. And I was like, okay, that sounds like the best way to spend my winter break. And I fell not just in love with Mettaton, the character. And so, dear listener, if you're somehow not familiar with Undertale, or even tangentially familiar with Undertale, it is a story about monsters who live underground, and they all have these various different backstories. And Mettaton specifically is a robot who he's a ghost inhabiting a robot, and the robot Mettaton, he has all of these different shows that he puts on. He's got a cooking show. He's got a musical. He's got a quiz show.
So extra.
He does a news report. Exactly. And it resonated with me so much. And I started to I was involved in online fandom before Undertale.
Who wasn't?
But
Who wasn't?
But getting involved in Undertale online fandom really did help me to. Well, it exposed me to a lot of other kinds of people than maybe I was interacting with before. Up to that point, I was maybe, and not that there isn't some gender greatness in the magical girl spaces, which is what I was primarily familiar with in online spaces before Undertale. But especially chatting with folks who were also super into Mettaton along with other characters. It was something about just the campiness of it all, and just the desire to be anything that would please anyone. That really resonated with me with Mettaton. So when I cosplayed Mettaton, I put outfits together for every single show that he had. I had a cooking show outfit. I had I had a suit for when he did the news. I had the dress for when he did. I had the dress for when he did the musical.
I need pictures of all of these.
I can send you videos.
Even better.
Did, panels doing this.
Even better.
Yes. And I had the entire song from the musical memorized. I would sing it.
I love that.
Back when it was I was cringe, but I was free.
Exactly.
I was anytime
we still need that as a shirt.
Anytime someone would geek out about me being Mettaton, I would immediately go into character and just go into that whole persona. The first time I cosplayed Mettaton, it was PAX South 2016, right? So it was right after Undertale had come out, and
oh my gosh. I wonder if we were there at the same time.
Oh my god!
Because I was at.
Did you go to PAX?
Yeah, I went to PAX South 2016.
Yeah, then we were there at the same time.
Oh my gosh!
The most.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, so this is how far back this is too. I the most notable things that I did at that specific PAX event. It was the Undertale meetup. I think it really just was the Undertale meetup. I'm trying to remember, was that the year that I did the Bunny Overwatch meetup, or was that the year after?
It's okay. Once we've been to this many conventions, it all kind of just
It does, blend. And I'm so not into Overwatch anymore that I'm like, when was that? It wasn't just an Overwatch meetup. It was a
Bunniichii
watch.
A Bunniichii.
Yeah. It was specifically Overwatch bunnies.
Okay.
And it was a whole thing, and his name escapes me right now, but a guy who just focuses on doing music videos specifically.
Is it Mineral Blue?
No,
a different one.
We'll put it. It'll be in post.
I'll figure it out.
He was there with his gimbal. You know,
it
was like when we did it in the lobby of the Hyatt. It was like a whole thing. Anyway, I'm getting so sidetracked.
Welcome to Bunniichii Corner, where we're always sidetracked.
I did so many events as Mettaton, specifically, not just Overwatch, not just Undertale, and I went on to continue to host Undertale panels. I hosted what was called the MTT Variety Show, and it was a panel where we did just a bunch of different games based on all of the different Mettaton shows from Undertale.
Cool.
And I got so fully into it, and I don't know that there's been a character that I have so fully gotten into. I did some drag performances as Mettaton. I actually have a music video where I performed as Mettaton. It was fully funded by the University of Oklahoma.
Oh my gosh.
In 2021, so University of Oklahoma does a drag show called Crimson and Queens every year because their colors are crimson and cream. So their drag show is called Crimson and Queens. And in 2021, they still weren't comfortable doing a live show. So they said, hey, anybody who auditions for this, you're gonna get a fully funded music video.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I was staff at OU at the time. So I was, a high contender and was selected. And so I got to do a full music video. And I did it as Mettaton. And I getting to do it in that specific space. I'm sure we're like encroaching your next question potentially. Right. Doing
I know how you know
cosplay performance. In a drag performance in that kind of a space, it's so when you resonate so much with a character like that, and fandom is just such a great space for exploring gender identity as well, and it's really wibbly wobbly, and I feel like it's all a performance. Drag is, it's like, what is the classic quote by RuPaul is like, we're all born naked, but the rest is drag.
Yeah.
Right.
I do love that quote. It's a legitimate quote.
Yeah. Yes. We're all doing drag all the time. And drag is just, extreme gender performance.
Yeah.
And that's what Mettaton is to me. It goes beyond, the character. It really is just this extravagant persona and and I and just everything that character represented, it was so easy for me to the line of like performance is almost blurred too. It's like, how much of this is a performance and how much of this is just me actually being me. But I get the excuse of being a character to actually like live it out, how much of that is gender? I mean, that you can answer that for yourself, I guess. I don't know how much I always have these. I'm sorry. I realize I'm going on too long. You can stop me at any time.
No, this is, I said what I said. This is Bunniichii Corner. We say whatever the hell we want. We talk about whatever the hell we want, as long as we want.
And you're giving me a platform.
You're welcome.
I regularly weave in and out of, I have a master's degree in higher education. I'm constantly weaving in and out of, this would be great for, academic topic and like research and being invested in it, and you know, from that perspective. And then the other side of it of like, who fucking cares? I just want to have fun and not be like exiled. Like, as long as I am, you know, having fun and not hurting anyone, then like, why do I have to like overthink it and have labels? And so I'm constantly like weaving in between both of those, you know, sides. And I think they both have their value, and I think they both have their merits. And it just, I guess the day of the week almost is where you'll find me with that, which is why I'll probably never get a PhD, because I'm not it's not I have to be consistent with the one side thinking for like 6 years. And I don't know that I'm capable of doing that. I'm gonna stop there. I realize I said a lot in like for like 20 minutes, so please whatever else you have to say on any of that.
So I was going to ask you questions on two separate things. I think I'll start with the performance space that I know you the most from. When we started getting on real well, is when I learned about your and Kyle's variety shows and the Nerdlesque. Wait, would you agree with that as the terminology for what you do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dear listener, so if you're familiar with burlesque, it's like basically a campy stripper. So
it's campy,
I mean, historically,
and fandom and jokes and greatness and everything one would want.
Nerdlesque, yes. Nerdlesque is a parody, I suppose, of the word burlesque, and
not the movie. Not the movie.
Correct, not the movie. Yes, burlesque has been a thing before. Cher and Christina Aguilera, believe it or not. And yeah, so nerdlesque is when you burlesque, but you make it nerdy. And I get super into my nerdlesquing. I have a hard time burlesquing if it's not nerdlesque. And I also have a hard time enjoying nerdlesque if it's not actually really nerdy, right? It's like either just burlesque or like actually really get into it.
It's one of two sides. Two sides.
Right? It's like you need me to like, I've got to have the like suspension of disbelief with the nerdlesque, I guess. You know, it's like you got to be fully committed to the bit. Magpie, do you know how many half-assed Velma acts I've had to sit through?
Glasses. Like, I can't find my glasses. I can't see.
I can't find my glasses.
I can't see without my glasses.
Bitch, first of all, I know you have 20/20 vision. Second of all, no one gives a fuck about Scooby-Doo. I'm so tired. Like, I'm sorry. Lots of people love Scooby-Doo, but like,
here's what I want. And I'm putting
what do you want?
I want Scooby Nerdlesque.
Bro.
You
talking about like you want a furry act?
I could do it. That could be me.
Listen,
I could be the change I want to see in the world.
Be the change you want to see
by going down the dark path of furries.
I don't think it's not a dark path.
Yes, it is.
First of all, listen.
Tokyo
people
Mew
who try to like turn us against furries, they are like just trying to they're literally just simulating the bully behavior that they grew up with, and they're having to like execute it in their own spaces. I'm so tired of furry hate. Now, I mean, that being said, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm sure there's bad people in furry communities. Like, we've all seen it, like zoophiles or whatever.
Yeah.
That being said, Scooby can consent. That's like the bottom line, right? Scooby talks. Scooby has full ability of like, he's literally on the mysteries. What are they called?
Mystery Incorporated. Mystery
Incorporated. See, I'm a fake fan. That's what I'm saying. I don't care about Scooby-Doo.
It's okay.
I don't actually care. What I can tell you about Scooby-Doo is that he can consent. Therefore, it would be fine for Scooby to strip. Perfect. I think it would be funny. I think it would be camp. I think you should do it. I think you should be the change you want to see in the world. Yes, Magpie, you had the honor and pleasure of kittening one of our shows.
Oh my gosh. And I just love your shows.
Admittedly, yes. In that kind of a space, it is easier. Most of my drag acts involve like extreme makeup and like an extreme costumes, and so it is like admittedly a little bit easier to put other kinds of acts together when you're also hosting a show. For certain kinds of spaces, and like when and we also it was at San Japan as well, like when we were putting the show together, the only other late night show like that I knew about was Electric Aura, which is the drag show at San Japan, and I've performed with them in the past, and I love them. They're great. This was before I knew that another burlesque show was going to be also cropping up, so I didn't realize that we were like in direct competition with them. So, and we didn't want to be in competition with each other. Like, we knew of each other. We wanted to be at different times or whatever.
Yeah. To be fair, that's a majority of panelists. For those at home who have never done a panel or anything, most of us, we are not in direct competition of each other. We support, like, everyone who's doing these panels typically have similar passions. Yes. And of course you want to encourage anyone that's part of those communities to continue and further. It also helps continue further the growth of those communities, as well as starts different discussions and seeing different perspectives on fandom.
Right. Especially when it comes to something like late night style performing, right? Like,
which is already
compete with each other.
Yeah, it's a small community, and it's not like on the edge of society, but it's so niche and so specific. It very just two opposite sides of the spectrum typically for how people see it and observe it, how you partake in it. It's very I'd also say that Nerdlesque is probably the best, if you are interested in nerdy culture, is probably, in my opinion, the best way to be introduced to the concept of burlesque, as well as any of that type of performative art.
The first burlesque show I ever went to was at a convention, and it was literally how I got hooked onto the idea of it. It planted that seed. It was it was an anime convention that we don't say the name of anymore. But here in it was here in Chicago in 2015, 2016. It was some time. It was some years ago, and
you're right. That is some years ago.
The performance that stuck in my mind the most, and they were all fantastic, but it really made it set the stage, and it really tuned me into like what was going on. The first performer was the Wii Fit trainer, and because she comes out on stage and she's in a gray tracksuit, of course, and then you hear some song comes on, and then she starts to unzip the top. You see the blue sports bra, and it says "We Fit" on it, and then you hear the voiceover from the Wii Fit trainer go, "It's time to stretch," and I was like, "Holy shit!" And I'd never been to a burlesque show before. And I remember my mom, this is so funny. My mom dropped me and my best friend off.
Beautiful.
Because we used to go back before. We wouldn't stay at a hotel. We'd stay at my grandma's house, and then my mom would like drive us back and forth. And we were like, we're looking at the schedule, and we're like, oh, there's a burlesque show on the schedule. And my mom specifically goes, oh, that would be fun. You guys should go. And like my mom like kind of explained it to us. She was like, it's like strippers, but they're like classier, and it sounds like they're going to be in cosplay, so that would be like really fun. They're going to be characters
right up your alley.
And I was like, my Catholic mother said this.
Yeah.
So
that makes it even better.
My mom is an enigma. She's
I love it.
That's another episode.
We just have your mom on.
So I had like a general idea of like what I was getting into, and I was so taken with it. And then it's the end, and it's the pasty reveal, and the pasties were the A and B buttons. And I lost it. I was like, oh, that's what's going on here. And I realized that every single cosplayer, Nerdlesque up there, like had pasties that were like it's not just getting to see their tits. It's getting to see like the thought that they put into making a pasty that made sense for the character. And that just, it took everything to a whole new height for
Mind
me.
blown.
And I was, yes, I was so, it was to say it was life-changing. It feels like a hyperbole, but I truly, because the next performer was Princess Serenity and her pasties were,
were they cutie marks?
It was Sailor Moon.
Oh wait, Princess Serenity. I'm thinking My Little Pony.
It was specific. Sorry, no, Princess Serenity from Sailor Moon.
Okay, I'm on the same page now.
From Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
So yes, her pasties were the Sailor Moon compact from the R season, and I was like, that's so specific. Cool. Like it was everything to me. I was like, holy shit, this is everything. And that's when I knew. Yeah. And I remember like we were leaving that show, and my best friend, she was like, we should do this. Like she's like I could see myself like being the one that's like contracting you out and like you doing these kinds of performances. And I was just like, yeah, this is so amazing. Like, oh my God. And like, you know, the way that the audience would react to certain reveals, and this fantastic, the combination of sensuality and just expression through fandom and love of specific characters. It was it was hitting all of those boxes. It was checking all those boxes for me.
Like bouncing off of what you said, when just seeing that whole act just opened a whole new world. I think for me something very similar, like my brain chemistry changed during your Animal Crossing 9 to 5 segment. That
I'm honored that you would even say that.
I think because like we had talked and gone before, but I think after that was like, I was like, oh my God, this is everything. I still think about that nonstop. Anytime I hear 9 to 5, the song by the Dolly Parton, I'm just immediately that whole performance that you did playing in my brain.
I'm honored.
But
I'm honored. I truly am.
Also, adding on to that though, I think also all of your performances that I've had the honor of seeing has also personally helped me explore gender and sexuality as well, because they're just such great starting points. Somehow, all of
I love that.
Yeah, props to you, Summer.
Yeah, I listen.
Everyone raised a glass to Summer.
And that's really thank you. I'm raising my high noon.
I am raising my big cup of water.
Good. Yes. Hydrate or dihydrate.
That's right.
The historically, you know, drag shows and burlesque shows and just, you know, shows of a queer nature. And not to get like super into the history of burlesque shows either.
Hey, we can if you want.
Yeah.
Let's do an abridged version.
Yes. So in my personal experience and in my, how many years of performing in these kinds of spaces, most of the burlesque performers that I know are performing in more queer spaces. Yeah. Yes, they obviously attract the male gaze. That being said, that male gaze does tend to lean on the more progressive side. Burlesquing does have strip clubs have a certain connotation to them, and I'm not here to demean strip clubs, and if anything, I would love to learn pole.
Oh yeah, pole is so cool.
It's a whole other
art form,
honest to God. It really is. It does have a different setting that's involved, I will say. Burlesquing is a little more rooted in campiness, not to say that it isn't still like extremely, like, not to say that it can't still be like extremely artful and sensual, but like a lot of traditional stripping.
The current atmosphere for burlesque is more on the campy route.
Totally. And it's about seeing like what limits you can push and how you can push those limits. Yes, it helps to be a classically trained dancer or just like have classical knowledge. Yeah. But there is the art of just how you can surprise your audience. And yes, having, a human body is helpful, but like for the most part we've all seen human bodies, and it's about how you figure out how to present that human body to your audience, and whether you're doing that, like what mediums you're using to do that, because human bodies are also inherently funny, and if you lean into that, you can sell yourself as like funny and sexy, like that 1-2 punch, in my opinion, just that much better.
It's the most hard-hitting punch for sure.
Yeah, that's the like abridged like kind of history of burlesque. A lot of drag does pull from burlesque, and that is like a whole other conversation about gay men taking things from women and historically POC women. But that's again another podcast episode that we can do another time.
Very presumptuous. Again, this is an audition. You know what they say about assumptions?
This is an audition. Listen, I am here to make an ass of myself. I know that I'm
You're
not,
aware. You're self-aware.
I'm not disillusioned as to why I am here. Okay, Julie is here to be a cool cat. Summer is here to make Julie look good. And by the end of this episode, it's going to be like, where the fuck is Julie? We got to get this bitch out of here.
Wait, where am I in this then?
Begging and pleading. You're the host. You're not going anywhere, Magpie.
Oh, dang. I can't leave.
You're the one on... What do you mean you can't... Hold on. Blink twice if you need to leave.
I don't want to. Don't tell me what to do.
So, Magpie, apologies. I think I lost the plot a little bit. I was explaining burlesque. Where was I going from there?
I don't know.
Because I meant to do it just quickly.
That was the abridged version. And then I don't know.
Okay. I remember now.
Okay.
Historically, spaces for burlesque and drag are a lot of people's safe spaces to just be themselves, right? So, effective, like in queer spaces, and like I'll say in burlesque, like sapphic spaces, and just like being different. We'll just say being different. Burlesque and drag shows are a great outlet to just be in a space that is celebrated. Yeah. Not just accepted, but like celebrated and having a good time and just, everything to the max. And being able to combine that with fandom. So conventions, right? Conventions, anime conventions.
Just any form
conventions. Right,
fandom related convention, fandom.
Right, that physical space for fandom, again, right? Yeah. Similarly, a safe space for you to be who you are, to explore fandom, and to unapologetically
be yourself.
Be yourself, purchase merch, participate in fandoms, go on monologues about how your favorite villain did nothing wrong, that kind of thing, right? And so we're taking two identities, one that is historically marginalized and one that not historically marginalized, but definitely bullied, right? Like, you're having a hard time, maybe like you seek out convention spaces and online spaces
for all the youth who are listening, prior to quarantine and COVID, cosplay was still not cool. Anime didn't really get a lot of mainstream traction until probably My Hero Academia, would you say?
Yeah.
Because Sailor Moon, yes, but I kind of put that on a side burner since that was readily available via dub. Anything that was available.
People can be into Sailor Moon and not be into anime, and I think the same is true. The same is true of Dragon Ball Z, which is the other
anything that was on for kids. Toonami.
Sure, right? If you were in, if you, One Piece is maybe the exception. I do think it's the show. I think it is the show that, like, yes, it had that 4Kids dub. I think a lot of the people that got into One Piece were like, hang on a second, and got too into it, and then they got online, and then like it, snowballed from there. Yeah. I think that for the sake of this podcast, I think that's safe to say, it's fair to say, My Hero Academia. And I mean, there were movie premieres prior to 2020. Like, I remember seeing I saw a My Hero Academia movie showing in theaters, I think in 2019. I think I saw Mob Psycho OVA in theaters in 2019, and this was in Oklahoma. So I feel like 2019.
And G Kids would always consistently do like every summer show all like the iconic Studio Ghibli films, and they were doing that all the way in like 2008, 2009.
Yeah, totally. And that's a tradition at this point, right?
Yeah.
We've got that's going on right now.
It is? It's going on now?
Yeah, I know that there's a Kiki showing coming up. Because I was contemplating doing it. Because I've actually never seen any of the Ghibli movies in theaters.
Oh, because that's
that experience.
That's the first time I saw Princess Mononoke. That I saw it in theaters, and that's arguably my favorite Studio Ghibli film, and probably one of the reasons why is seeing it in theaters elevated the storytelling experience. So much of it is like in a darker setting. So if you're able, if that's an option for you to see, I highly recommend that.
I was going to say it's your favorite because you're a comrade.
I also am a comrade.
Right?
It hits
like
all
the moral,
the marks
right?
for me. I'm like, ooh, nature. Ooh, cool. Ooh, spooky. Ooh, comrade. Hello.
Yeah, right. It's like don't get me wrong, all of the Miyazaki films are very anti-war.
Also,
and tends to be the messaging of all of
also
them.
Also Nausicaa and Princess Mononoke.
Mononoke is in your face anti-war, and because it was almost like he'd like gotten to his like boiling point. He was like, how do you not understand that this is what I'm about by now?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna fucking
like,
say
boom.
it.
He's like, first I brought out Nausicaa and you guys didn't get it. Okay, let's make it more obvious. Boom. Get it now?
Mm-hmm. Could I make it
any more obvious?
I'm anti-war. You're fighting wars. Can I make it any more obvious? Yeah. So just quickly, wrap up my prior point. You're taking two different identities that, as we have seen, especially in the past how many years, do have a lot of overlap. I think a lot of folks are exploring gender identity thanks to fandom, by identifying with characters that maybe have a different gender identity than they thought that they had. And that is helping them to continue to explore, and then, for good or for ill, cosplay as those characters, and then make a million TikToks and realize that they are the character. And I'm not trying to get into fiction kin on this podcast, but
we can go there if we want.
We don't have to.
I can. I've already canceled myself.
Dear listener,
I've already canceled myself on the internet. All right.
It's not about canceling. It's just like it's a lot to say. That's all.
We can
we
can do little touches. We can do a little baby touch.
We can touch. Okay, dear listener, fiction kin basically means that you actually believe that a version of a character, like either that you are that or they exist within your mind. We're talking about people who, they're not just getting mad that other people cosplay the same character
when that
as them
happens,
in a physical space.
When this happens, you have to go touch grass. Go outside.
I'm not trying to I'm not trying to like diagnose people. I'm not trying to be an anti or anything like that.
I
am. I think quote unquote fiction kin is honestly just a stepping stone for like actually understanding yourself, and if that's what it takes, and like in a couple of years you realize how cringe it was, and like but that's what I was saying is like I'm careful how much I want to say about that, because like there are prominent fiction kin people online who have done like horrendous things, and I don't know how much I want to get into that, because then they like blame it on how they were like a certain character, and like I'm not ready to talk about that.
I get you.
We're not ready to talk about that. I'm not about to try to explain like a low key true crime thing on this podcast that we can talk about when we're not on the record.
Off the record, that one.
But you're from Texas, so you might actually know what I'm talking about.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So anyway, I'm getting way too far from the point that I want to make, which is, if you can see your first burlesque show at an anime convention, then like do it. If you can see your first drag show at an anime convention, do it. It was so rewarding for me. And when I did the drag show with San Japan, Electric Aura, and we do like a meet and greet afterwards, and just the idea of doing a meet and greet afterwards is just insane, because most of my performing when it's not at a convention, it's like in a sticky bar, it's like your dressing room is a broom closet, and you have to accept that anything can happen once you get out there, and you're fighting for attention from the TVs and the jukebox, and you have to interrupt the pool game. You have to interrupt the billiards because like they won't stop, and it's like a perfect place for you to get on top of and like roll.
Of course. It's an unpaid actor.
As opposed to at a convention where people wait in line for an hour, and it's like a giant ballroom, and you have a stage, and there are projectors, and they are tracking your movement.
You get the whole shebang with that.
It's they really,
a solid
they
production.
Really they really know how to make you feel like a celebrity at conventions, right? And so you do a meet and greet afterwards, and you're just like another attendee at the convention, most of the time. And people are coming up to you afterwards, and they're telling you like that that your performance helped them to understand more about themselves, or that it just that your performance validated feelings about themselves, and like using characters that they also love to explore certain ideas like gender and sexuality, and just like body, like our human bodies too. And I agree. And people telling you like, this was the first time I ever saw drag, or this is the first time I ever saw burlesque. Like that stuff is huge, and doing it in a space that you're already like passionate about, you're with like-minded people, and that's not obvious. There's bad people in all spaces, right, of course. I'm just throwing that out there. The overwhelming majority of my experiences in late night performing like drag and burlesque,
it's an overwhelmingly very solid, like very good
100%. Yeah. It really is, because you're getting the professionals from their spaces who are dying to put on these acts that they really want to put on, right? These are passion project acts in the first place that they can't do during their normal weekly or monthly routine at their local bar. Right. So you're getting the best of what they can do too. And and then, that's true of me, right? Like I have my like normie acts that I do, like, and then I have this is what I pull out for people who like know what I'm doing and know what I'm about. And it's such a different, truly, if you are passionate like we are about just fictional characters, and you have and you feel like you just are a little to the left as far as gender and sexuality goes, that you owe it to yourself,
If you feel like you're me and will never be straight as a pencil, you are that flexible ruler. Check it out.
Even if you are straight as a pencil, like there's still stuff
there's
for
so
you.
Much
like
stuff. Just
if you're straight as a pencil and you just don't hate gay people, like then then you would also probably still love drag and burlesque.
Ally. If you are bendy, or if you are ally, go for it.
Yeah.
I absolutely concur. Like when I had the absolute honor of kittening for your guys' show, It was. That was one of the highlights of my weekend. I was stoked. Okay.
Aww.
Hey, I like to support my friends in any way I can, and also I was just like, oh man, this is great. I'm here. I'm vibing with it. But also at the other show you and Kyle put on at WeebCon, the Download Geek show. Mm-hmm. That was absolutely a fantastic experience because you guys got such a big space. You got a big space at St. Japan as well. But that was where you could truly see this immense passion for the art, because performing is an art, performative, like just it's entertainment, but also an art of storytelling through different mediums and actions. The absolute like passion and just thought that was put into each one of those acts was incredible. And even after each of the shows, like everyone was so nice and accepting. Like I was solidly having so many just good, solid conversations with everyone who I'd never met before. And it was just like, we're all just vibing. If you like the vibe, go to these shows.
That's so sweet. Yes, that is right. Like the afterglow after a show, right? And we're all just vibing. And we're all bonding over everything that just happened, right? Mm-hmm. Like you go to one of these shows, like tell the performers afterwards, like seriously, like they are just people, and they just put their, they bore their soul to you. They also probably showed you their tits. Yep. So like, please, tell them, if you liked the show, because that's like literally what we're hanging out doing.
And also keep in mind, for anyone who hasn't seen any of these performances at a convention or outside of that, for the most part, especially at conventions, people who put these shows on are not paid for the most part. This is it's weird. Yeah, it's this weird gray area dependent on the convention, dependent on the circumstances. There's a lot of varying factors, but for the most part, I would say.
Yeah, it depends on the convention. A lot of conventions are getting better about it, and it falls into a very similar category of like with cosplay, and like what a lot of cosplay like quote unquote professionals are also struggling within their spaces.
That's me.
Where you recognize and acknowledge that for as long as there are people who are still new to this, that are trying to make it a professional hobby or just be professional about it, whatever. And there are people like that who aren't listening to veterans or people who have been there longer, who are willing to do it for exposure. Right. And don't get me wrong, exposure does have its time and place, but the problem becomes because there are so many people who don't know their worth, or they just haven't built up that worth yet. Something like a convention where they don't necessarily have a budget for all of that kind of stuff, and they are looking for as much as they can do for as little of a cost as possible, which again, understandable. It then does become understanding that, okay, there are certain people that we can't get to do certain shows because they are paid professionals and they're not budging, and that is valid. Like there are certain kinds of shows that I'm not going to do without certain types of compensation involved. Right. There's always going to be, unfortunately, in this space now, there's always going to be somebody who's going to do it for nothing. Yeah. And you have to think about the kind of person who's willing to do it for nothing and what kind of value are they actually bringing. And
that's a
and
mixed
then you
bag.
you also have to also answer that question for yourself. What kind of shows am I willing to do for nothing? Mm-hmm. And it comes down to, okay, these are the conventions that I do actually feel like are trying to put on a good show. I feel like that if we could get some momentum going, that yes, we probably could get compensation in the future. That was the attitude that I had about San Japan. That initially was the attitude I had about WeebCon. That obviously wasn't the attitude after I had immediately following.
Yeah.
San Japan, sad to say, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do San Japan in the future, just because I'm not like local anymore. I will say, like, but to add additional context to it, I am now Chicago-based. Anime Central and a lot of other Chicago-based anime conventions and comic conventions, there is a queen who kind of has the clutches on running drag shows up here. Oriana Perone, she is incredible. She does one hell of a Queen Beryl and Sailor Moon at her shows, and she always runs a drag race competition like on the Friday of the convention, where whoever wins the drag race competition panel then gets to have a performance slot in the featured drag show at the convention on Saturday.
That's great.
These are fully paid gigs that she runs up here, right? So it is a fully paid gig, no questions about it. I'm seeing that at a couple of other shows up here. I was contemplating on auditioning for. I don't know that I'm going to now.
I believe in you.
Just because of schedule conflicts.
Oh, okay,
well, it's more about
schedule conflicts.
Yeah, right. But I'm reading through the audition and I'm seeing like, oh, this is a fully paid gig on top of a badge, on top of hotel space. Like they're not kidding. Like they're not fooling around. I did not have that luxury at any Texas convention. We would fight for it. And usually we were met with, they wanted to do it and they just didn't have it in the budget. And that's understandable. I get that. And in that kind of space, you understand, like, okay, maybe this is something we can build up to.
Right. Get the audience and gain that traction. Become a
you got to show them that this is something that's worth moving to. Right. You got to show them that it's something worth moving to main programming. And I do think that is the case up here. I think a lot of these people have put in the work to show that. It is a lot of gray area. You do have to put the work in. In a lot of spaces, yes, you do need to understand that it's not an initially paid gig. You are making basically tips. You'll be lucky to get a badge, because typically whoever's like running the show is the one that's getting the badge, right? A lot of the time it's just like only the event organizer, 2 people can get badges, right? And then anybody else that they get signed up to do it, like, you're going to get your tip money. And the hope with that is like, okay, whoever you bring to the show, whoever you encourage to bring to the show with whatever kind of following that you might have, that's more people that are in the audience to also tip the performers. But it is a lot. It is a lot. And I understand, like, not everybody carries cash anymore. Not everybody has that extra income to tip necessarily. Tipping culture, especially if you've never been to a show like that before, like, I understand that it can be confusing too. It's a lot of like a lot of people's first time understanding that type of that or learning that.
Burlesque and these types of I'm going to loosely say variety shows, only based off of the types of shows that you and Carla put on. It's a very specific type of culture. If you've been in those spaces before, you know that those expectations is, if you have access to that disposable income, either bring some physical cash, or the understanding of hopefully the organizer will have access to something which will show the person's like Venmo, the performer's Venmo, or some form of digital.
Yeah.
Just like any other type of performance or societal expectation, each community and each form of, performative art is going to have their own set of expectations. With burlesque and nerdlesque, expectations, bring some money, tip the people.
Yeah. And at the very least, if you don't have money to tip, then your cheers are just as good. We love to hear you hoot and holler whenever you see something that you like.
I did, in fact, lose my voice for 9 to 5.
It's so a very common like thing to fall back on, like when you're doing drag or burlesque performing, that if the audience isn't cheering, you know, as loud as you would expect them to before you do your next move, you put a hand behind your ear like, I can't hear you, I'm not taking my top off until I hear you. Right. Right, I'm not moving from this position until you cheer louder.
Just like any live performance. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Crowd work is detrimental. If you're not working the crowd, it's not, at least in my opinion, because I haven't done your form of performance yet. Hopefully I do in the future.
It's very,
but like as a musician,
it's very similar in idol culture.
Not even just idol culture, but like as a musician with the reggae era. I have to do legit a me just sidetracking. It'd be so funny if after like 4 months I just pull up like a little mini compilation of any time I reference the reggae era. But and make it a drinking
you play
game.
Like a little clip every single time.
Make it a drinking game. Be like boom boom boom.
Shot every time she mentions the reggae band.
Yeah. But that like crowd work is detrimental to involve people. The more involved the crowd is and the audience is invested in your set or whatever you're performing on the stage, the more likely you're going to gain that traction, the more interaction. There's more invested into it. And while you're already burying yourself out there on stage, because being on stage and putting yourself out there already makes you extremely vulnerable, bringing the audience into that is going to get that traction going, but also that support. So if you can't support with monetary, yell it up, lose your voice a bit.
Well, it's the energy. Yeah. That's what it, right? That's how you continue to put on a good show. Yeah, is absolutely. That energy, it literally, it propels you, it feeds into the performance. You know, really continue to put yourself all out there if you know that the audience is feeling it too. It's true in music performances as well. I did a burlesque show about a year ago that was unique because it was part of a Fringe theater festival.
Oh, cool! Which, if you don't know the Fringe.
Chances are wherever you are has a Fringe theater festival, and basically what those are is local writers and actors will submit their ideas, and they get accepted to like the Fringe Theater Festival. It's a great time to showcase just like weird ideas that you might have.
If you enjoy like novel concepts, very weird or just outside of the box forms of entertainment, highly recommend looking into your local Fringe.
Yes. So the one that I did, it was the dance troupe.
Was that with Buffy? Was that your Buffy one?
Yes, this is when I did my Buffy act.
I'm still so mad I couldn't see that.
I know. Y'all were hyping me up so much. I was like, do not come to Oklahoma for this. But so the concept for our show was basically, I think the title was like Sensuality Through the Ages. And so we were all tasked with having like a different time period, mostly decades. Yeah. And so mine was 90s, and I wanted to figure out something that was both 90s and on brand for me as a performer, because I felt like that was also important, like something that showcased me. And I remembered going to the troupe leader and saying, okay, I think I've got a Buffy concept. What do you think about that? And her immediate reaction was, yes, please do that. So, and it was a fantastic show. I loved being a part of it. But something that was like a little bit of a learning curve with that was it was a very different setting, right? Yeah. It was because it was Fringe theater and because of what most of the other acts were. And I also think that this specific setting was a lot of people's first time seeing burlesque. You know, they had a season pass to all of these other theater shows, and they were like, oh, well, it's a burlesque show that's part of the Fringe experience, so maybe this would be a good time to see burlesque.
We have some downtime between the ones that we really want to see. Why not check it out?
Sure. Yeah. And we, we did our best to explain and kind of set the tone. Yeah. But because of how we set the show up, we didn't have an MC. We, we really did kind of lean more into the storytelling of it. Yeah. So it did make it a little weird, though, doing moves that you would normally expect the audience to cheer for, and it just being quiet, dead silent.
Because that's the expectation for theater. Theater, you do not, you don't do shit.
Correct.
You clap
at the end of a scene.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the scene, or at the end of a big number when everyone's been putting their all into it.
Right. And
if you're looking at it from a theater standpoint, burlesque would be more akin to watching ballet. If you're not familiar with burlesque or that idea. Hence,
we had all of our different dance numbers, basically. Yeah. It was ballet is a great example because the entire show was put together by dance numbers. And we, we're moving in and out of these dance numbers, and they would absolutely hoot and holler and clap at the end of when a number was completed. Yeah. But I would be taking my top off and they would be silent. And that was something that I really had to work with personally.
I'm just thinking of this
they're just like, well, and Magpie, they're theater people too, so that they're engaged.
They're engaged,
that they're watching.
And that's the funniest
So that's
bit.
even weirder. That's even weirder to contend with. Is I'm taking my top off and knowing that they're engaged, even though they're not making any noise, and just continuing to knowing that you have to just continue giving it your A game because they are just paying attention. They are just watching. It's not right? When I'm in the sticky bar and I take my top off,
now you get attention.
Every man that wasn't paying attention 5 minutes ago is now screaming and throwing dollars.
In.
There was no throwing dollars at Fringe Theater. It was just politely clapping at the end of numbers. So this, it definitely changes the
vibe.
Did I love doing it in that kind of space? Yes. Would I do it again? Absolutely. It's just you got to have a different mindset going into it. It's so funny.
What song did you do that to? I don't think I ever asked about that.
Wait, sorry. What?
For the Buffy number, what song?
Oh, I touched myself. So it was.
I see it now. Yes, I see the vision.
I interlaced the song with different lines from the show.
I love that.
Related to Angel,
of course,
and then it became about Faith. So it was a bisexual number as well.
Love that.
So, yeah, I did too. It was. It was a lot of fun, and I thought the song itself also was an iconic 90s song. So it was just trying to
lean into that
as much as I could, just make it as 90s as I could with my costume as well. It was just me trying to be as 90s as I could. I was born in 91, so it's I kind of lived through the 90s, and I guess it's not I definitely didn't have my sexual awakening in the 90s.
But I think for people born in the 90s, you were born in 91, I was born in 95. Even though we were born then, I think there was still a good amount of carryover into the early 2000s where there was still that same cultural zeitgeist. Just on the tail end of Y2K. So even though we didn't have fundamentally developmental years in the 90s, we are still a product of the 90s.
Right.
90s so kids get it. 90s kids get it.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
So Magpie, what do you have some ideas for
Hear me out, Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, you don't need me to hear you out. You had said that, you had said that after the first time that you saw one of my shows, and I was so into the idea. But so refresh my memory and like let our for our listeners, pitch your Kingdom Hearts act.
It's been so long that I've totally just gotten used to people saying no. Whenever I say hear me out, Kingdom Hearts, I've become used to people just saying no, and then I'm like, but wait, Kingdom Hearts. Okay. I forget the concept at this point.
Oh, come on. No.
I think it was
it was something
like it was funny. It was either Sora.
It was something involving Sora and Riku. Yeah. So it was like going to be like a duet. It was going to be a duo. I don't remember the exact concept. What I want to say though is like, Am I a recovering Kingdom Hearts fan? Yes.
I can bring you back down with me.
AKA no. Yes. That's not what I'm asking. Yes. That's not what I'm asking.
That's what I'm hearing.
Do I acknowledge the fandom and sexual impact that it had on people our age? Yes.
Riku and Sora should have ended up together.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. That's why I would be so into an act that involved that, because is it my personal thing? No. Do I think it would be amazing? Yes, I would be absolutely 100% supportive of something like that. I'm
starting to regain some of what it was, because I remember yes I forget what the song I had been thinking of, but seeing everyone perform, I started thinking about, because I don't know if you've ever seen Rock of Ages, not the movie musical, the actual stage production. There's two characters.
Cannot say that I have.
Okay. Rock of Ages is like an 80s jukebox musical. It's great. Don't watch the movie. Don't watch the movie.
Okay.
Find a bootleg version on YouTube.
Okay. Noted.
There's two of like the main side characters is a bar owner and like his bestie who also is part of the bar. The bar owner is an older guy. Bartender, main guy is probably like supposed to be late 20s, early 30s. The whole time we have like the perfect comedic duo, and they seem very macho, but then in the second act, what's the song? I can't fight this feeling anymore.
Air Supply.
There we go. They have a love song, and they become a couple. And I remember thinking about that, and I was just like, wait. Sora, Riku, they push Kairi off stage.
Oh, jeez.
Like with the face. No. Like full on get her face, push her off. They will not fight this feeling anymore. They're boyfriends now.
It's a message to the writers, actually, to not fight this
Don't
anymore.
Fight it.
You know?
I can't fight this feeling anymore.
It falls into my box of I'm tired of female characters existing for the sole purpose of making sure that certain characters are straight, so that's why they get to have these more in-depth relationships with other men. And I wish we would just cut the middle woman out, and right, because like, first of all, women aren't just your anti-homosexual prop.
Exactly.
And
they have at least one more layer at least.
Just have at least one more layer, right? So like my complicated feelings aside, yes, like Sora Riku is obviously the canon. It is obviously what is actually going on here.
Of course.
It sucks that Kairi is like mixed into it and doesn't get to actually be a real character.
She is not.
I am willing to put all of that aside for the sake of drag.
Okay. So what I'm hearing
and performance.
So what I'm hearing is yes.
Oh, God, yes.
You would help. You would be the opposite. You would be the other character. Yes.
Oh,
yes. Perfect.
Okay, Magpie, how tall are you?
5'7". Remember, we had this conversation when Julie...
We're both 5'7".
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I very specifically remember this one conversation we had at WeebCon where you and I were like, we are the average height. And everyone was like, no, you're tall.
And because we are 5'7", we have looked it up, and that we know that for a biological white woman, 5'4" through 5'7" is average. We are at the top of average. We are still within the bracket of average.
In the bracket. I will die on that
because
hill.
Because we are 5'7", we are able to whip that fucking stat out of our asses because we've looked it up. Because we are 5'7", because we are 5'7", we know that we could still audition for face characters at Disney. We know that the only character we could realistically actually be cast as is Rapunzel, because she is the only one that actually falls into 5'7". Most everyone else is actually an upper limit of 5'6", but they don't tell you that until you get there. We know this because we are 5'7". I'm sorry.
No,
stop.
No. The
stop
thing
me
is
if
that's funny to me is that I've also looked this very specific information up, and I wanted to see how much of it was.
You have. I know you have. You know how I know that you have?
How?
Because you're 5'7". Okay. So because we're both 5'7", Magpie.
It's okay.
Because
just call me Maggie.
5'7".
It all started with a bit. I didn't think you'd maintain it.
I commit to a bit. If there's anything you need to know about it,
it's just getting weird at this point. Somewhere I'm like, but you know my name.
if we're both 5'7",
we're 5'7".
Then determining who is Sora and who is Riku comes down to
rock, paper, scissors.
I guess. I was gonna say character portrayal.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Better,
you're right.
We're each individually maybe better at,
you're right.
doing. Or rock, paper, scissors. Fuck it. We ball. I don't care.
We roll a d20 to see odds or evens.
Oh my god. So you're saying you don't actually have like a preference over who you're, like whether you're Sora or Riku?
No, I don't.
Because it's clearly not to bring out the terms of the ancients, but Sora and Riku are like a clear uke seme.
Oh, absolutely,
situation.
Absolutely. Oh no, we are the ancients.
We are the ancients.
Do you want to? Do you want to? Should we explain this for the listeners, or they have to figure it out themselves?
Oh, I'm sorry. So, dear listener, if you're not familiar with the ancients, what we speak of, uke and seme, they are the Japanese words for the relationship figures in the most common yaoi
Boku no Pico,
like storytelling, where
Boku no Pico.
We're not talking about Boku no Pico. That's too much. So the seme is like the dominant partner, and then the uke like directly translates into like the receiver, basically.
So who's the top and who's the bottom?
Yes, it's just Japanese words for top and bottom in homosexual relations. It's very stereotypical.
Yeah.
It's very early 2010s, late 2000s, like convention culture. This is when yaoi paddles still roamed the lands.
May they reign free.
Yes. Right. I think Magpie and I have both been going to conventions long enough that we, saw
we have seen so
the beginning
much.
And end of yaoi paddles.
I don't like how true that statement is.
Well, I'm always surprised at how new. I'm always surprised at how new Julie actually is to like outward fandom experience and expression. Like, because her first convention was like what? It's 2000, like what?
16, 2007. Like she had gone, but but not a lot, I think it was. Because I remember Cosplay, she was still relatively new to when I first met her. But I think
when did y'all meet?
We met late 2019, early 2020.
Okay.
So San Japan was when it cemented our best friendship. Hence, whatever weekend San Japan is, that is our friendship anniversary.
Yes. Okay. Understood.
Yeah. Heard, chef.
Okay. Yeah. So she wasn't there
for the rise, the fall,
the writing of the original tomes.
The tomes.
You know,
I was there when it was written.
Is like, yeah,
someone explained the rules during the ancient text.
I was there when they were written. That's so yeah, it's so wild to me. And yes, so I think Riku and Sora, I think, is a fantastic, like, let's
do a throwback
jump into this classic understanding of early fandom yaoi. Sora is the uke and Riku is the seme, and it's this just
it would be a fantastic way to do a duo Nerdlesque segment, but also utilize the song Passion, the opening to Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah. Sanctuary.
By Uta. Yeah, there you go. I was trying to remember her name, and I was like, I remember listening to it backwards so many times, trying to find that hidden message. What was the name of it?
It's literally just the same. Now I regret saying anything because I'm like, I used to know it really well. Because I would say it forwards during the backwards parts anyway, just because it was fun to sing like what the actual words were. It's like, I need more affection than you know. That's usually all it was. It was just, I need more affection than you know, my sanctuary. Yeah. That's all it was.
Voice crack on me.
That's all it was. Not anything like super like subversive.
But
it
would be very cool, like surface level. But it would be a very fun, like, do a little throwback. Started out with Twilight Town background music.
Well, if you're gonna do that, it's like, do we need to do Sora Riku or do we need to do Roxas Axel?
Roxas Axel.
Because then we get to do Perry Grips. Do you like waffles?
Yes.
I'm so to anyone.
Do you like waffles? Do you like waffles? Do you like pancakes?
Yeah, we like pancakes.
Do you like French toast?
That was born after like 2005.
How dare you don't listen to this? How dare you don't answer? Do you like French toast?
Yeah, we like French toast.
Can't wait to get a mouthful. Waffles. I'm keeping this in.
A friend of mine in high school who like didn't know anything about Kingdom Hearts but appreciated just like YouTube poops and like
AMVs
being chronically online at the time. She was a crocheter and she crocheted an however you say the word, whatever. Yes,
did I say it right the first
Roxas.
Oh, love.
It sounded right to me. She crocheted a little Roxas for me and made a little sign that went into his hand that said it had waffles on it, but then it had the anti symbol over it because the famous video is of Roxas like being like no like
now it's all coming back to me. It was Do You Like Waffles? This song was Do You Like Waffles? And I was telling her and the pasties would be waffles.
Stop.
I remember it now. The whole idea was a total fever dream, but I still stand by it now that we're talking about it again.
That's inspired. See, what we need is a venue that's okay with messes, or at least like to be able to put a tarp down, and then not actual syrup, but like pretend, food coloring. And you pour syrup on your naked body at the end. Like,
we pull a Rocky Horror and a Rocky Horror bit.
Yes, see, you get
it. I get it.
You get the vision.
Oh yeah, it's a vision, and it needs to be done.
Yeah.
I do like waffles.
I also I want waffles.
I know, me too. Now I'm just like,
when we're done recording, I'm gonna go see if we have any waffle mix, and I'm gonna pull out the mini waffle maker and probably make a waffle, and then also make chicken nuggets.
So then it's chicken and waffles, have sweet and savory.
It's poor man, right? Like fucking poor man chicken and waffle. Because I'm gonna use my parents' hot honey on it.
Ooh, hot honey. Yes. That is next level. It's good. Sweet. It's spicy. It covers all the wants.
Yeah, because they just had a new batch of hot honey made, and I'm so about it.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
I'll have to send you some.
Yes. Or I can go find you and take it. That sounds very intimidating.
Come visit me.
Yes. I'll definitely have to do that. Then I can bother you and Kyle. And I can finally meet the doggos.
Yes. Not to bring lore from another podcast onto this show.
Bring more lore, because I'll put it up.
The little door that's next to where I record is a portal to Austin, Texas. So you can just come through the portal.
Wait, I see. Wait, where'd that small door come from? Sorry, I'm just looking I'm looking at the wall opposite to where. What? Summer?
That's how you. Yeah. Whoa. Hello.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, you're here.
Oh, Summer. Hi.
Hey, hello. Welcome to my recording studio.
Oh, wow. You know what? More spacious than I thought. Very cozy, though. I like it.
I know. For a converted attic, it's actually pretty nice.
It's very impressive. I feel like I have to up my recording space now, because right now it's just the craft room. Do you want to go see? Actually, I don't want to show you. It's a mess.
Okay, fair enough. My quote unquote recording studio. It's also my crafting area. It's also all of my music and everything. My vanity is all.
I like that I love that both of our recording spaces is also the crafting rooms and everything else.
It's basically just my office, right? So one side is my bedroom and then the other side is my office, and so it's my computer, and then my keyboard is over there, my vanity and my sewing table. The dog corner is also
I see
here.
it. I really like that corner.
Yes.
Tell me what's in that corner.
We brought that chair up here, and we decided that it was too much work to put the legs back onto it, because it was funnier. It was going to be a dog chair anyway, so why not just put it flush on the floor, and
I see the vision.
Easier for them to get into. Yeah. And so I've got all the dog art around the chair to designate that it's, they've got the water bowl right next to it.
Yeah.
The toys on the other side. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I actually have to go back through the portal real fast, because I think my doggo is looking for me.
Yeah. Here, I got you.
Oh, thank you.
I've opened the door.
Oh, thank you. All right. That was really fun. A bit weird.
I'm glad you were able to visit Chicago.
A bit weird to go from talking through Discord to going through a door, which I don't know how that door magically appeared, and now it's gone. So that was weird. I didn't.
It shows up when your heart wishes.
When I have to follow my Kokoro and wish upon a star fruit. Just keep bringing Kingdom Hearts back. Yes.
You gotta have the sea salt ice cream, and then a star fruit, and then
the waffles.
And then it's a 3-course meal, actually. Yeah, the star fruit, the sea salt ice cream, and the waffles, and then the door appears. God damn it, Maggie.
What if
the grip Kingdom Hearts continues to have on us?
What if I start talking to you about Vampire Night? Do you think it'll the door will show up?
You know, I haven't watched Vampire Night, but I imagine that it would still show up for you because it is a passion of yours.
What, you mean you haven't seen my Unhinged just rant video that I made for Julie's birthday 2 years ago? Yeah, I did that. It's an hour and a half video of me just doing an Unhinged recap of the entirety of the Vampire Night manga, recreating half of it by myself, and I did this for Julie's birthday.
Did you smoke a fat blunt first,
no.
Or did you just go into it raw?
I went into it raw, man.
That's so impressive. I'm so impressed.
And I spanned the entirety of the manga as well as the after story, which was its own separate 3 or 4 volumes. I did it all.
Okay. We'll link to that specific video in the description.
If you
instead of doing a take 2 of it right now.
Because that's right. I would do it right here, right now.
I definitely believe you.
Thank you. I even put on cosplay and makeup for that video, and I did my
that is dedication.
And I did my eyebrows so Julie wouldn't get mad at me. Yeah, that's my.
Is this something you fought over before?
Before Julie and before fully committing to Tokyo Mew Mew, I never filled in my brows, and we were doing, what was it? It was after Sand Japan. It was about a few months after, because we were doing a photo shoot meetup kind of deal. And she was like, Maggie, you don't fill in your brows? Me? No. Why would I? Her, that's trash. Ever since. And she's like, no, look, I will help. Have you never filled in your brows before? Me? No. I will help you. Look, doesn't look better? Me? I mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
So now, that's why I fill my brows in now.
Yeah.
And
even at my daily look, I usually fill in my brows. I have been for 10 years. God, Maggie. Oh my God. I'm so glad you met Julie, but also like I'm teasing.
It's all based off of how committed I am. Or if I'm around Julie.
Oh, okay. Julie, if you're listening, you heard it here. If you're not around to bully her into it, she's not filling in her eyebrows.
Inconsistently.
Are you just like that proud of your naturals, or
no? I'm just lazy.
Like, okay, because like I was gonna say, like I do like my natural eyebrows, but I always fill them in because like I have a good shape. Yeah. They just need, I don't know, I just like, it looks better in photos. I feel like if I do my eye makeup and then I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, I need to fill in my eyebrows, because otherwise it just like doesn't look right, I guess. I don't know.
For me, it's still just one of those things where for such a long time I was not comfortable on camera, so I didn't really care from a
that's fair
visual standpoint, keeping that in thoughts.
Sure. But
now I do it for the most part. I always do it in cosplay. If I know I have a look, if it's gonna be a good look, I'll fill in my brows.
Well, it's impressive the amount that just brow shape.
Oh yeah, brow shape alone emphasizes and color so much in regards to character performance and
exactly
how you portray that character.
I will say, cosplaying Daya Kurosawa from Love Live was like my first understanding of needing to be more intentional with my brows because I was still just like generically filling in my brows to whatever color the hair was for characters at that point. And the first time I did like a cos test of Daya, you know, she's got black hair. It was the first time I was cosplaying a character where there's just like black
Daya has black hair, but also she has very not blocked eyebrows, but she's a very stern-ish character. Like she comes across as very strict, and so
she is also still a high schooler, like a young girl. Yeah. The first time I filled in my eyebrows, and I'm looking at the photos, and I'm like, I couldn't put my finger on what was wrong with them. I was like, why do I look so menacing? And I realized it's because I have the eyebrows of a villain, and I filled them in black, and I have sharp eyebrows that I filled in black. And I was like, so what I, did after that, what I realized what I needed to do after that was to do the traditional actually fully blocking out my eyebrows to then draw on black ones, right? Because just filling in my eyebrows to be black was way too intense.
Sorry, I'm still dying over the fact that you identified you're stating that your eyebrows are villain eyebrows, because I have never seen that with your eyebrows.
Maybe it was just because I mean I have like when I fill them in, right? Like I'm going for like I guess the way I used to do my makeup, especially in like my late 20s, I definitely went for a much like strong dominant look, I guess is the best way to put it. And so I had very strong eyebrows. It was just part of it. And it was something that I was emboldened by because people always complimented my brows. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I need to lean into this. And I literally, like the first time I cos tested Daya, and I'm looking at the photos and I was like, why do I look like the villain from Kill la Kill? That's such a very
niche example, but now I'm trying to like go through your, I don't know, do you have those pictures on Instagram?
You'd have to really of the first original cos test, I've probably put them away. Like later versions of Daya, where like I figured out what to do with my eyebrows, yes, you can probably find those. But like those original photos, no, I like those got archived as soon as I understood why I didn't like the way they look.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then, but that also leads into like gender expression and performance and understanding what to do. Eyebrows make a huge impact on just what, like I just in my day-to-day life, if I fill in my eyebrows first before I do any other makeup, I feel like I look extremely just androgynous and or more mask. And depending on the day, I'm like, ooh, yes, maybe we don't do any more eye makeup. Maybe we just go with the brows because it really gives like a sharper, more, mask, androgynous kind of vibe feel. And these are things that I didn't really, wouldn't have understood if it weren't for doing crossplay, playing with makeup and
playing with gender and face shape
that kind of way that. Yeah. After Metaton, I think the first after that, my more playing with gender and I guess also just sexuality in cosplay. I cosplayed it's been so long, so I want to make sure I'm saying the right character.
If it seems like I'm sidetracked, I'm now just going through all of your pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm seeing this you're fine.
And you are right. There's I just found this post that you did, a few years ago? Yeah, I haven't solidly down the summer rabbit hole.
I haven't done Love Live in at least 5 years.
No, there's a post that you made in 2020. This is hard. This makes it sound like I'm a creeper. But it was you doing a side by side of the same wig that you used, one for Ellie.
Ellie Ayase.
And then the Glam Punk Electric Gym Leader.
Yeah, I was feeling really emboldened. So
because you
I
can
was
really
in a drag competition.
you can really see the difference with the eyebrow shape is what I want to make.
Oh, yes.
And you can the way that you create. I will save it, and if you're okay with it, I'm gonna put it right here.
Oh, absolutely.
Boom.
So
put it in post.
I'll go ahead and add a little more context to that. I know the specific post that you're talking about. I knowing that I wasn't going to do that LAASA look again. So the more mask androgynous yellow punk look that you're talking about, that I ended up using that wig for, I was in a drag competition at the time. And we were all assigned colors that we had to do, and I was assigned yellow. And I was going through all of my things, and I started to have the vision, and I was like, okay, I truly don't think I'm cosplaying Love Live again. I'm gonna use this as the base. I'm gonna make a mohawk wig, and I just thought it would be fun to do a side by side, and also just like two extremes, because like it was specifically that photo is specifically from the fairy tale set for Muse's Love Live of LAASA. It's like her Cinderella look, I believe, because it's accentuated, right? Like all of the pearls, which is like symbolic of like, Cinderella loses all of the pearls from the dress that the mice made for her. They all fall everywhere. It's just little things like that. So I knew I wasn't going to do that outfit again. And so I, reused that wig and other elements to make this competition piece. And then I won that round that week. So I was just like really riding the high and was, aggregating, different kinds of posts to make related to that. So that was specifically a side-by-side, both showcasing like, this is the same wig, but also like, here are two very different gender performances, and
the portrayals
exactly what makeup can do.
Styling.
This is the power of makeup and styling and bras and binding, like everything,
every single aspect of that.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Oh yes, LAASA is a blonde, which means I have to completely block out my eyebrows and
all the work. All right, Summer, we're going to start wrapping this up. I'm gonna give you your soapbox. Is there anything you would like to say to sum up what we have talked about in this amount of time, or any thoughts that are important to you to have them be readily made available and spit out to the world?
Sure. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming.
It's been a pleasure to get to talk about all of this kind of stuff.
Thanks for letting me go to Chicago.
I'm really passionate about exploring gender and sexuality through fandom because it was my first introduction to being able to explore gender and sexuality. I am so autistic that I feel like I'm kind of incapable of exploring those ideas without, using fandom kind of as a vehicle for that style of expression. If you have any interest in any of this at all, please go see a show, whether it's at a convention or just something that's local. If you live in a moderately sized city, even if you're in a red state, you would be surprised at the frequency of these kinds of events that might be happening near you. Definitely go, catch a nearby show if you can. That being said, a lot of this is extremely prevalent on online spaces anymore. It's, online, drag shows are still happening on Twitch. That's something that became a pretty big thing in 2020. And I still see a lot of drag performance on Twitch anymore. Burlesque, obviously not so much. That breaks TOS. But there is, in my again experience, there's definitely no shortage of burlesque. Every large city has its own burlesque festival that happens every year, in addition to, your regular shows that happen throughout the year. If you are hearing what I'm saying and you think if you were ever thinking that you were, too passionate about a certain character or fandom, or thinking, like certain aspects of self-discovery thanks to fiction or fandom, I am here to tell you that it's not too much. I mean, okay, there is a limit, but I'm not assuming, okay, maybe that's a lot to assume about the listener, but
no,
embrace it. It's really, it's fun. There are channels for you to do it in, a safe space, in a space where you're celebrated, that, there are opportunities out there. You might have to put in some work. You might have to kitten a few shows. You might have to.
Hey, being a kitten's fun as a kitten,
right? It is important to. Yes, no, it's great. It's great to kitten. We need kittens. They're super important. Sorry, listen. Also, a kitten is a person who a kitten is basically a stagehand for drag and burlesque shows.
I go meow.
I call it a kitten. Yeah, and I'm also, if you are interested in any of this kind of stuff, I am totally available as a resource. If this is something that you're interested in, or you want to know how you can get more involved in your local scene, please reach out to me. My DMs are open for sure.
All right. Now, Summer, that you have had your soapbox, I'm taking it back.
Okay. Understandable.
It's true. I do.
I don't keep my soap in a box anyway. I don't need it.
Oh, okay. And I know that you said when you first started this audition, which thank you again for coming to audition, that you are on social media. Is there anything that you do creatively that you would like the people to know about, whether it be another podcast, anything performance-wise? Say it now.
So if you're into video games, I am on a weekly podcast called Super Switch Heads. It is the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. We do weekly topics that are evergreen, but we also cover the latest news. This week's episode, we did cover the Terra leak of Game Freak.
Oh no, this is going to terribly age the recording when this comes out.
Well, listen, I mean, they're like I said, we do evergreen topics, whatever if you're asking what the best episode to listen to is, it's usually whatever the most recent episode is that just came out. Otherwise, on other social media, I'm mostly just posting photos of my cosplay. I am trying to get more comfortable with posting performance recordings of myself in various places. I am getting into making AMVs again.
Yes.
So I am posting those online as well. Mostly Fire Emblem. I do think I'm going to start making B-Stars edits soon though.
Hear me out.
Because I'm seeing that a lot of these big conventions are still doing AMV competitions.
Yes, they are.
So I'm like, it might be fun to finally actually, lean into that and, make stuff to actually compete, because it's just fun. Okay, sorry. Hear
me out. Kingdom Hearts.
Hear me out.
Kingdom Hearts AMV. Summer, do it.
So what if I told you that I've already made Kingdom Hearts AMVs, but they were from 2008?
But I want more.
I'm gonna
do a remastered one. Remaster it.
You're right, because I'm gonna say this because this is a safe place. No. Yes, I need to make Kingdom Hearts AMVs to heal myself, because the Kingdom Hearts AMVs that I made in the late 2000s were to fucking Christian rock and pop. Okay. If you know who Toby Mac is.
I do.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Fucking Kingdom Hearts AMVs to Toby Mac. And I would love to redeem myself.
Redemption. Your redemption arc.
Because the only thing that's worse than making Kingdom Hearts AMVs is making Kingdom Hearts AMVs to
Toby Mac?
Christian propaganda. Yeah.
Yep. Choose one evil. Choose the lesser of two evils.
Oh my god. But yes, you can find me on just about every platform at Weeb Witched. That's, again, like
it
Bewitched,
will be right here.
I'm a weeb.
Right here in post. Wow. Good text.
We did it.
Hooray. Thank you, Summer, for coming on.
Thank you, Magpie, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
As always, I enjoyed talking to you, and especially about gender, performance, talking about Summer, talking to Summer. Interactions are great.
Yes, it's important to talk to people. It's also important to talk about gender and gender expression and how, the many ways that we do it. And I'll just go ahead and say it again. We're all born naked. The rest is drag, baby.
Woo!